so I should do that too. He has always been around direct sales. I remember him talking about this when I met him back in February at a leadership training. And he's actually been around the world coaching and mentoring and helping people. So we're really lucky to have him here. But aside from those sort of stats, what I really love about Kim is just that's sort of what he does, but who he is. He's a dad. He's got 4 great kids. You'll see him on Facebook talking about his wife, Katie, referring to her as his SHW, his smoking hot wife. And I think that is awesome, especially after, 18 years you've been married? 18
years.
See, that's awesome. So he's got it figured out. Like, he gets it. When I met him, when I met him in February, I was so drawn in by his story, and I just connected with him on such a personal level. It's just who he is. He really, it's a gift. So we're very, very lucky to have him, and I'm going to hand it over to you. Good luck after that introduction.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, when you do someone that says he's got it all figured out, I mean, there's no room for improvement there, Don. No, you guys, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. I'm really honored. When Dawn reached out to me, she goes, "We're going to get this started. Do you want to do it?" I'm like, "Absolutely." And then she said it was going to be one of your first calls. And I was like, "Oh boy, I better make sure I bring it so we can add some value to this." But I actually am really grateful for the opportunity to be here with you. And thank you guys for taking the time to be here away from your family and other things that are going on. And it is fun for me to do these Zoom chats. I feel like I got this little window into all of your worlds. In fact, my wife, when I told her I was coming up here, she said, "I don't care what you do," because I'm in my bedroom. She said, "But I had to make sure that you couldn't see any of the mess behind me. So I'm trying to make sure that there's no ironing boards or anything showing up in the background so I don't get in trouble." But I appreciate the opportunity to be with you guys here tonight. And hopefully some of the thoughts I've got prepared will be beneficial to you. In my experience, a lot of times you get out of a training what you put into it. And so I've come prepared to share some thoughts, and hopefully that will generate some thinking and some ideas on your part. And that will be the most valuable part of all of this. And hopefully you'll be ready to take those things and put them into action. It's really interesting to me. Those are the kind of moments that people tend to put together, one of those moments after another that really leads to the kind of success they're looking for. So I hope you'll have the courage and the dedication or the discipline to be able to put some of these things in practice that we talk about tonight, and more importantly, the things that you have that come to your mind. So when I was, this idea of getting started right on social media, this is a really big topic, honestly. It can be very intimidating for new coaches. And I don't know, but it depends on kind of where you were at before you became a Beachbody coach in social media. Some of you were probably like me, which was the occasional poster. "Oh, I'm actually thinking about it. I'm going to make this post." You're lucky if once a week something came out. Or some of you might be like my wife, who literally we can go back through the year and chronicle about every third hour of our day for an entire year based on her Facebook posts. A lot more active on social media than I was. Regardless, there's a shift that needs to take place when we talk about social media. Now that you're a coach and learning how to market to that effectively. But before I get into that, I'm going to share with you guys a little story. So recently, I did a marathon, or ran a marathon with some guys in the office. And my goal of this marathon was to run the whole thing without stopping. It was my 3rd marathon, and I didn't really care how fast I ran it. I just didn't want to walk. And all my 2 previous marathons, well, Don knows what happened in the first one, but we won't talk about that one. The second one, I walked a lot. And the first one, I walked a lot too. But this one, I wanted to do it without any walking. And so as I start off running, they have, if any of you have ever run marathons, they have pacers, right? Guys that kind of hold these little signs, and they say, "Okay, I'm going to run at about a 10-minute and 15-second pace, or I'm going to run at this pace." So you can kind of judge your own speed based on the pacer. Well, I knew that if I ran at about a 10-minute, 15-second pace, that would be a good pace for me that I should be able to maintain the whole race. And so pretty quickly within the first mile or two of the race, I found the pacer that was at 10 minutes and 15 seconds, and I just kind of locked in on him. I actually ran up to him, talked to him for a second. His name was Kurt. Kurt was a very nice guy. He was an older gentleman, probably pushing his 60s. He probably ran marathons like I wake up in the morning. I mean, this was not his first rodeo. Anyway, so I start running with Kurt, and I kept thinking, Kurt's my man. I'm going to just run with Kurt. Kurt is a guy I can count on. Kurt is my pacer, and I had committed heart, mind, soul to Kurt. But after about 8 miles, I realized that Kurt was the world's worst pacer. He was horrible. This guy was not, he would run and like someone would be standing on the side of the road, he'd run over and talk to him and stop and talk. And so I would pass him. I'd look over my shoulder and be like, Kurt, what are you doing? And then a few minutes later, he would pass me, he would run ahead of me, and then something else would happen. You guys have all seen that movie Up, right? With the dog that was like, squirrel. That was like Kurt, right? Every little distraction he had, he was running. And after about 15 miles, I was like, the heck with Kurt. I can't follow Kurt. But what I started to notice was that there's this girl next to me. Her name was Michelle. And I noticed that Michelle and I were keeping pretty close with each other. I might get a little bit ahead and she would get a little bit ahead, but she was always kind of around. And as I started talking to Michelle a little bit, because what else are you going to do when you're running for 4 hours? I asked her, we were talking a little bit about it, and I shared her kind of what I was trying to do, and she said that she had a similar goal. And so we agreed to kind of support each other. We agreed to kind of run with each other. And I wouldn't let her get too far ahead of me or vice versa, and we would just kind of keep each other motivated. We kind of connected. And what the difference was the consistency behind that. What made it hard for me to engage with Kurt was he was very inconsistent. He was up, back, side, over, all, and he may have ended the race in 4 hours and 30 minutes or a 10-15 pace, but it was not a consistent pace, at least that I needed. It wasn't a good thing for me. So what in the crap does this have to do with launching a business and starting on social media? It's a really good question. I just wanted to tell you that story. I have no idea how I'm going to connect. No, I'm just kidding. But the idea that the reason why I want to put that in your mind is when we talk about launching our business and the starting blocks when it comes to social media. And the second thing that is I want you to be a Michelle and not a Kurt. And a Michelle, I want you to be consistent. I don't want you to be, 5 posts one day and I don't hear from you for a week. I want you to kind of get that idea in your mind. And the reason is this, and before we get into some of the nuts and bolts I'm going to talk about, the most important things for you to remember when we're talking through social media or just inviting in general or building your business is this is a business about first showing up for your business. And the second thing then is adding value. Okay? Adding value. Now, what do I mean by adding value? At the end of the day, guys, what you do as coaches is you connect with people. When we connect with people, that makes inviting natural. When we add value, it's a great way to connect with people. So when we look for ways to add value to people, it makes connecting a lot easier. It gives us a ground to kind of to build from, right? And connecting with people requires us to show up, to be there consistently, like Michelle, not like Kurt, but then also being willing sometimes to be a little bit vulnerable, to give places where people can connect with us. It's really good. Like if I were to say, well, we need 3 posts a day. Well, if all of your posts are like, hey, here's a funny thing I saw, or here's blah, blah, blah. Here's, a funny news article that I enjoyed. Those are real hard places for people to connect to. Okay? Remember, inviting is all about connecting. When we're on social media, when we're starting to market with these people, that's when we're connecting. So what are we putting out? When we talk about adding value, are we putting out things that allow people to connect with us? Or are we just putting out stuff? Are we willing to be a little bit vulnerable, to give people little bits of glimpses inside to our own lives, maybe in a way that might make us feel a little bit uncomfortable, but that creates a connection point for them where they can identify with us and they can reach out with us. Just because we're doing it over social media doesn't change that fact. If you were to talk to somebody in person, to connect with them, to invite them, you would find common ground. You would find ways that you could add value or to help them, even if it was just giving them a compliment or showing some sincere interest or maybe giving them a suggestion or an idea. You would do that naturally in person. It doesn't change just because the format becomes social media. All right. So with those kind of foundational pieces in place, I'm going to share with you some best practices. Now, here's the deal. I'm not saying this because I'm an expert at this. Heaven forbid, the worst thing you could probably do is model your social media after mine. But I do have the opportunity in a lot of instances to work with some of the top coaches across the network. And I'll tell you some of the things that I see them do. All right. The first thing, I'm going to talk about this in terms of, first and foremost, expanding our network. Okay, I'm going to talk about it in two buckets. The first one's expanding our network, and the second one is then marketing to our network. And the reason is because if we're talking about launching our business, well, launching it's one thing. You launch it to the existing people. That's great. Okay? And you'll get some ideas when I talk about marketing to your network and maybe how to do that you haven't done yet. But actually, more importantly right now is for you to also start getting in the habits of expanding your network. You want to bring, when I mean expanding your network, is you want to start doing things on a daily basis where you are connecting with more people through social media to have them start following you, to increase your followership and all of that kind of stuff, so that when you post these great things, when you post things that connect with people, when you're marketing to that, there's always more and more people that are getting exposed to that. That is one of the biggest things that undermines coaches, is they never really, they get good at maybe marketing to their network, but they don't get very good at expanding their network. So I'm going to start there. Expanding your network is honestly, you guys, it's not complicated. I want you to just think about this idea. All we're trying to do is to just join in the conversations that are already taking place. For example, if you think about your on Facebook, there are things that you're interested in, right? Or maybe things that are unique to you. I have a friend who has triplets, right? There's lots of triplet mom Facebook groups. I've got, a couple friends that are really passionate about softball. There's lots of people that are passionate about softball. I have 2 special needs kids. There is an endless amount of groups where parents with special needs kids kind of get together. Identify, look at yourself and ask yourself, what are the 5 most things that I'm most interested in or most passionate about in my life? Okay, 5 most things that I'm most interested in, most passionate about, the things that I can talk about. And don't worry if it's, maybe you're really into pedicures. I promise you there are Facebook groups on pedicures, okay? But find out what those things are. And then I want you to go on to social media, into Instagram, Pinterest, or Facebook, or just one of them if you're more comfortable starting there, and join the conversations that are already happening. And when you join those conversations, your goal isn't to sell Beachbody, okay? Your goal is to connect with people and to add value, to jump into the conversation. And this is how we do that, right? We look at maybe people, like, let's say you join a Facebook group. Look what they're talking about and join in the conversation. Make some comments. Occasionally, if the group allows it, make some posts, right? Do things to kind of build friendship and connections in that group. And what you're going to notice when you do that is those people that are in that group will start to like you. They'll start to follow you. It might even be something where someone makes a specific comment and you send them a private message to say, hey, that really impacted me, or I really like the way you said that, or here's something else you might want to consider. And all we're trying to do right now is to connect. We're going to join in the conversation to connect with people. So don't overthink this. Don't feel like you have to go out and be an expert on Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook. Look, if you're just in Instagram or just in Facebook, that's fine. Start there. Right? Join in the conversation. Ask myself, again, what are the 5 things that I'm most passionate about, or that I enjoy talking about the most? And then go find groups on that. Okay? Someone just popped up a question. Do I suggest like pages? Guys, it's different for every single person. Okay? If you feel like you can manage a like page, okay, versus a personal page, then I think it's a great way to do it. If you want to keep your business world separate from your personal world, that's fine. But just realize now you've got 2 places where you're connecting with people, on your like page and on your personal page. Your like page will typically have a little bit different flavor to it. It'll have a more narrow focus, fitness or clean eating, or something like that, where people are going to come connect with you. Whereas on a personal page, it's kind of who you are. It's all about you. When you start having both those pages, you also want to start watching when you get likes on different ones. When you start getting new followers on each one, you manage them differently. I don't. Honestly, you guys, it's really up to you when you want to start a like page. The thing we don't want to do is get yourself so diluted across social media that you have a hard time managing it. It would be better for you to be very effective on your personal page, okay? And then expand eventually down the road to a like page and something else to help you get started, since we're talking about getting started. Then jumping right in and trying to manage both, all right? So again, you'll find when I teach, I try to teach principles and then application, principles and application, principles and application. And so the principle here let me just repeat it to make sure we're on the same page, is to connect, right? Connecting is inviting. Just remember that. Connecting is inviting. So then the first thing now is social media is expanding our network. Well, we want to connect, right? That's the principle. What's the application? What are 5 things that I'm interested in or that I can speak passionate about? Let me go start there. Okay. If you haven't done that, it's a great place to start. As I'm doing that, as I'm joining in the conversation, I'm liking things. I'm sharing posts that I like. I'm making comments. I may be private messaging people who, make a point that I really agree with or something I want to share with them or whatever it happens to be. All those activities, what they start doing is funneling people back to your world, right? So as I maybe private message them or I'm doing things, I say, hey, check out my like page, or hey, from time to time, let's connect. Let's make sure we follow each other. You guys are connected now on Facebook. That's for people that you're bringing into your sphere of influence, if you will. More people that you can then market to on your side of social media, okay? The goal in this, you guys, is you want to try to add 2 to 3 people every single day to your network, okay? Doing the activities necessary to get in the app, we're regularly adding at least 2 to 3 people every single day. And at first, it might be you going out and having to kind of find them and mine them. But I promise as you get better at this, that those people actually start finding you, okay, as you engage more and more in those conversations. And to be honest with you, you'll start to have you'll have a lot of fun with it too, okay? Because it is fun to connect with people who kind of share similar interests and things. All right, I'm just looking through my notes here, making sure I've got everything, okay? I want to spend the rest of the time here talking a little bit about probably where a lot of you are at, which is marketing then on social media. How do I market to people effectively on social media? And guys, I got to tell you, honestly, when people ask me this question, I just got done redoing Coach Basics. We're going to launch in September. I'm sure all of you guys are going to totally love it and enjoy it. But there's a lot of social media content that I work with leaders developing for the new Coach Basics. And it was all around marketing to your social media. And I think Sung is unmuted. 781-454-7860 is unmuted. That's where we're getting that feedback. Anyway, we're good. We'll move on. The steps, okay? So what's the principle here? Again, the principle is connecting, right? Connecting is inviting. Now, the great thing is when we start marketing to our network, they have proactively selected us to listen to us, right? So we get to kind of control the message. And that's a great thing, and it's also a lot of responsibility on our part. Gone are the days on your social media. If you want to use it effectively to market, it can't be like I was doing it. It can't be hit and miss. It can't be Kurt where we're kind of bouncing around, because people follow you because you add value. If you're doing it right, people follow you because you add value to the communications. Now, that sounds like a really big thing, but guys, it's really not. It's really not, but we do start having to be purposeful in the actions that we do on social media. So let me give you some suggestions here. The first thing I like to tell people to do, and this was something that came back time and time again as I was working with leaders and creating this content for Coach Basics. But the thing, first of all, is you have to know who you're talking to, okay? When you are making social media posts right now, you have to know who you're talking to and then create your post to add value and talk to that person. Now, what I mean by that is in your mind, you need to start kind of creating, who is my ideal customer or coach? What are they interested in? How old are they? What kind of gets them going, right? What are some of the things they think like, and what are the things that would attract them to me? Okay, and this is a little bit harder. If you go on Google and you look up the target customer profiles or things like that, there's questions you can ask yourself, right? Demographics, how old are they? Are they male or female? How many kids do they have? What are their interests? What are their activities? What are they working? Are they, this whole thing. But if you'll take the time to do this, and it might take you an hour or so, but if you can create a working profile, and sometimes you even call them by names, right? Susie, my ideal customer is Susie. Susie's, she's 28 years old. She's got this. She's a working professional. She's got this. You start to craft that person. You start to craft your Susie in your mind. If you do that, now when you start making your posts, you start talking to Susie. Okay? And this is the first step in marketing. Honestly, you guys, is understanding who your target customer is and then talking to that customer. Now, what that means is you're going to have to, if you're talking to Susie, that means that Jane and Betty might not be that interested in you, but that's okay. you're going to feel a little bit anxious because you're going to want to be very general and broad so that everybody can love you and you can connect with everybody. But that will just weaken your ability to market effectively to people. Have the courage to kind of target your customer and talk to that person. I promise you, you'll be more effective at doing that. Your posts will be more effective. You'll get more mileage out of it, meaning more followers, more engagement, more successful invitations, than trying to be very broad. It's that idea that if you stand for everything, you kind of stand for nothing. So have the courage to stand for something and kind of market to that, okay? So first of all, know who you're talking to. If you need some help with that, again, there's lots of resources online, but it's just really kind of picking up that customer. A lot of times it'll probably be someone very similar to you, similar interests, similar things that you can talk to effectively. The second thing then now is consistency. Again, going back to the Kurt analogy, consistency is going to be very important on social media. People ask me all the time, how often do I need to post? Well, here's the deal. This is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say at least 3 times a day with an asterisk. 3 times a day, but ways that add value. Now, that doesn't mean your posts have to be huge, okay? And adding value can be a simple recipe idea. It can be sharing like some insights about personal development, or you're something with your kids. Because even when you talk about experiences with your own kids, you know, or your family or something at work, but you're sharing an experience where you learned something or you had an insight, that's adding value. That's adding value to people. The things that don't add value are usually negative posts. Like even if you had a really crappy day, always end that crappy. Here's some of the things that I learned. Okay, so keep it positive. All right, but 3 things that add value. If you can't do 3 things that add value, then please do 2 things that add value, or 1 thing to add value. But your goal is to try to get up to 3 things at least that add value throughout the day. And the reason for that is twofold. First of all, you want to be like Michelle, right? The pacer. She's constant with me. She's someone I can engage with because I know she's going to be there, right? When you kind of Houdini show up and then disappear on your Facebook page or on your social media page, people don't engage with that very well, okay? They don't really follow you that well and it'll work against you, okay? So consistency is key. I want to make sure. And then the second thing that consistency allows you to do is now you need to start watching on the traction that your posts get, because you want to start looking at timing. If you know who you're marketing to, that ideal customer, you'll kind of have a good idea of when to post and when not to post. Like when I say 3 times a day, what I don't mean is 3 posts within an hour of each other. Okay? If you space them throughout the day, that gives a greater chance that they'll actually hit people when they're online. So for example, a coach I was working with not too long ago, she kind of, her target market was stay-at-home moms, younger moms. And so she found it was most effective to post early in the morning, because most of those moms got up and checked their Facebook before their kids got out of bed. And so she would post at morning, in the afternoon around lunchtime when she knew they were kind of taking a lunch break and things were a little bit crazy, and then late at night after the kids had gone to bed. That's when she had done her 3 times. It took her a while to figure that out, just because she would make a post and she noticed that sometimes it was getting more likes and comments than other times, until she kind of found that sweet spot. This is just trial and error, but that's where that consistency comes into play. So look at when those posts are getting the most traction, and then try to find those time slots and post at those time slots. All right. The third thing now, so we've got know who you're talking to, so we're adding value with each one of the posts. Consistency, try to do at least 3 times a day of adding value, okay? And the third point now is a variety. When we talk about adding value, there's a variety of ways that you can, many ways you can do that. Show all facets of you. Adding value can be, here's something I just, a fun thing that I learned from my kids. Aren't kids, great? Or here's something that I read that really impacted me, or something you learned in your personal development. And then it can also be nutrition. My meal plans, or here's what I'm trying to do to eat healthier. Here's a recipe that I like. And then also from time to time, I would say at least 3 times a week, post a sweaty pic of yourself. Everyone loves the sweaty pics, I know. But post a sweaty pic of yourself and talk about the effort of being fit. Most of the people that are going to approach you, the reason why that they will approach you as a coach is because you have habits that they perceive that they don't have, which is you're eating right, you're being healthy, you're doing these things, and you're inviting them to join you by putting it on social media and talking about it, okay? Being honest with your imperfections and whatnot. And so show all facets of your life to give you more contact points. So 3 posts a day, not all of them are about, hey, here's a challenge pack. Hey, here's the special that's going on right now. Or here's my challenge group. It's, family. It's some kind of a personal interest you've got. I think you guys get what I'm saying. I don't need to beat beat a dead horse here, but the variety is important. The fourth point, and this is probably going to be a no-brainer for most of you on here, but I'm just going to say it just to make sure. But make sure you make your posts visually appealing. Keep in mind you're competing with everyone else they know. And so what stops people? Pictures, good pictures that are kind of clean, pictures that have words on them, pictures of you. And then if you want the big one, pictures of you with words on them that are clear. Boom. That always gets people to stop, right? So pictures or video. Pictures are usually good, especially when they've got some simple message with you on it because they're following you, so they see your face. They connect with you. There's usually a simple message on there that kind of they can read pretty quick, and that usually draws them into your post, okay? And so try to use pictures and videos, pictures being a premium, videos being, if there's something really that you want to share with people, but try to keep it, less than a minute if you can. Some apps that people, I'm sure that you guys are all familiar with apps. If you need some suggestions on apps, I'm sure that Dawn can give them to you about how to do that. She does a good job with these social media posts. But just make sure you're using that. While it's easier for you to just type out something and then post on Facebook, that's not going to get a lot of traction. All right. The last thing I'm going to make mention of on marketing to your network now is, and this is going to be really important, don't ignore talking about coaching, okay? That's going to be hard for a lot of you because that opens the door to things that maybe you feel weird about. What I mean by that is you're afraid that people are going to misinterpret your intentions. People are going to be afraid that you're going to feel pushy. You're going to feel afraid that you're going to feel pushy or that it's going to come across as salesy or schemy. So let me talk to you about coaching. When I say don't be afraid to post about coaching, a couple times a week, okay? So a couple times a week at least, talk about what you like being a coach. If you have a challenge that has a good result, talk about that. I love being a coach. When I get these messages, boy, it makes me feel so good. All you're trying to do when you talk about coaching is just increase the awareness in the people that are following you that you're a coach and that coaching is something that other people can do as well. Okay? That will just open up unexpected doors to conversations that you aren't banking on. It will make those that do join you as challengers, when you do approach them about coaching, it won't feel like it's coming out of the blue. They'll be very aware that you're a coach and this is something that you do and that you enjoy doing it. Okay, I've seen a lot of new coaches shy away from that. They get very comfortable posting about nutrition and their personal fitness and things like that, but when it actually gets to coaching, it's like crickets. Okay, and in fact, it comes across as strange on their social media. So they're like, what are these guys, trying to do? So make sure you turn up the volume on your coaching pieces. So quick takeaway, okay, summing this up. The principle is we connect, right? We connect to be able to invite people. We do that by being willing to be vulnerable, being open to people. We want to be a Kurt, right? Be consistent, be available. I mean, not like a Kurt, excuse me. I mean, like a Michelle, not a Kurt. We talk about expanding our network, right? We want to have join the conversation, 5 things that were interesting us, okay, that we're passionate about, that we use that to then find other pages, other conversations, and engage in those pages so that then we in turn have opportunities to add people to our network, whether they're following us or we inviting them to add. The goal is being 2 to 3 a day, new people that we add to our network. That's expand our network. Social media marketing to your network. First and foremost, know who you're talking to. Be able to describe that person. That's Susan or whatever her name is in your mind or his name. Describe that person and then talk to that person in your posts. Make sure that all the posts you make add value to that person. You want to do it at least 3 times a day. That's the goal. 3 value-added posts every single day to that person. We want a variety of posts. Nutrition, personal, things that interest you, funny things that happen to you, whatever it is, things that will engage people. That allows us to be able to dial in the time, that not only the type of posts that get traction, but the time those kind of posts get traction, so we can kind of be more effective at targeting those people. Finally, just some simple things like making sure we're using pictures, adding words to those pictures, things that will grab people's attention and stop them on a scrolling news feed or on a Pinterest board that will grab their attention. Those are some simple strategies there. And finally, we want to make sure that from time to time, we're not shying away from talking about the benefits of coaching and what coaching means to us. Okay, guys, those are some great starting points for getting your business started right on social media. The best thing about this, guys, is you're going to get better at it as you go at it. Okay, I have a 9-year-old son. His name is Joshua, and Joshua is one of the most sensitive, sweethearted kids I've ever met and I've ever seen. He's just a good kid. He's not perfect, but he's a good kid. And but one of Joshua's things in life is he doesn't deal well with imperfection. I think a lot of us can probably relate to that. This last year, he wanted to play basketball. He played basketball at school, right, on the playground, but never played basketball, like organized basketball. So we put him in a league. And he came back from his first practice, and I came home from work, and I was all excited to talk to him about it. I was excited to see him do this. And he came in, and I said, Joshua, how was basketball? And he said, I hate basketball. I was like, what? What do you mean you hate basketball? He goes, I went there. I didn't know the plays. They were saying this. And he found out very quickly that farting around with your friends on the schoolyard is a little bit different than playing actual basketball. And he didn't know the plays. Did I just say farting around? I'm sorry, Don. I should be more professional than this on your call. Messing around. But he didn't know the plays. He didn't know the terminology. He didn't have the experience to be able to do all those things. And he did not want to do it. And so Joshua and I had a conversation, and Joshua knows that one of the things, like one of the Carver mantras, we have these mantras that I have my kids repeat every night before they go to bed. I'm brainwashing them while they're younger. But one of the mantras is that Carver's never quit. And so I said, hey, we made a commitment to the team. We're not going to quit. Now, at the end of the year, you don't want to do it. That's fine. But we're going to see this thing through. And so he begrudgingly agreed to that. And you guys all know how this went. Well, after a couple practices, he started to understand what a bounce pass was. He started to understand what a pick was, or a block, or a screen, these things that were so weird for him before. He started to understand, some simple plays that they had him run. And he started to get more confident at it. And the more confident he got, the more fun he had with it. And by the end of the year, he was one of the better players on the team, and he loved basketball again. He wanted to play. He couldn't wait to do it again and all that kind of stuff. Well, I think you guys can see where I'm going on this. The first time you start doing stuff on social media, you're not going to know the plays. You're not going to know the terminology. You're not going to know the best time to post. Your posts aren't going to be that great. You're going to do all this stuff, and there's going to be a party that's going to go like, I hate social media. I hate talking to people. Coaching is not for me. No one likes what I'm talking about. And you're going to have one of those little temper tantrums like my 9-year-old son had. When you have that, that's okay. That's kind of part of the deal. The question you got to ask yourself is do you believe in it enough? And are the benefits of it worth the time you're going to have to spend to get good at it? Because there's a price you have to pay to learn how to be good at something. You can't just – I wish it was like the Matrix where I could just sit you guys all down in a chair and just shove a needle in your brain and upload like all the experience that Melanie Mitro has. But that's not going to happen. The first post that Melanie put out, I'll show them to you. I'll send them to you if you want. But it had like 3 or 4 likes on it, 4 or 5 likes, no comments. Right? But did she stop? No, she didn't. She got better. And she got better at knowing who she was talking to and what resonated with them. She got better at knowing when to post and what post kind of got the most traction and led to discussions about challenge groups and other things like that. And it's going to be different for all of you because you're different people. And the things that are going to make your business phenomenal are going to be different than someone else's. And so if you have the courage to actually experience your business and to pay the price to learn these things, these guidelines that I've given you will give you a great start. But now you've got to jump into it and you've got to just learn it and experience it for yourself. And that's when you'll fall in love with coaching. You'll fall in love with it because you'll see how it works for you and it will become your own business. It won't just become something else that you try to copy from someone else. It'll be something you own, that you live, that you add value to. And that is incredibly rewarding. Not only just personally, but also financially. Because you'll reach people. There are millions of people out there, and I guarantee you thousands of them, you're the only one that will be able to reach them. Your experience, your life story, your ability to convey, connect with them, but you've got to be the one to put it out there, and I think social media is a great way to do that. So anyway, thank you so much, Don. I have extended my time by like 6 minutes, so I want to make sure I shut my yapper, but I'm happy to stand to answer any questions if anyone has them, and if not, that's totally fine.
No, thank you so much. That was awesome. I just took like 4 full pages of notes, and I'm still going to watch it again to take more. Does anyone have any questions for Kim?
Awkward silence.
No? No questions at all?
Awkward silence. Who is this?
Now.
Well, and you guys can all make sure you connect with me on Facebook. If you guys have any questions or whatever, I'm happy to answer them there too. It's not like a one-shot deal. Like, oh, you didn't ask. No, not answering them.
No, thank you so much, Kim. I do have a couple things that I would like to ask my coaches to do following up on this call. I would like everyone to sort of come up with a list of 3 to 5 things that you're really passionate about and find some Facebook groups like Kim suggested to try to expand your network, and you can share about it on the team page. And I also want everyone to sort of post a quick description of your ideal coach or customer on the team page. We did that in a Diamond Dash training that I did, and it was really eye-opening. So I realized as I was starting to write that, I didn't realize I had an ideal customer. And then as I was starting to write that, I was like, wow, I really, really do. So it was actually really, really helpful. So I think that's a great suggestion. But are we sure we're no questions? No, you're off the hook.
Sweet.
Thank you so much, Kim. I appreciate it so much.
I can feel my kids' presence outside my bedroom door waiting for me to come out. So I will go out there and relieve my wife of her parental duties for the rest of the evening and talk to you guys later.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Take care.